Respected elders, educationists, language scholars, dear teachers, and dearest students, welcome. First of all, it is my kind request that those who haven't subscribed our channel having the head Thirukkural and Science may kindly subscribe it. And also it is my kind request that those who are viewing my channel Thirukkural and Science may kindly take it to your neighbors because it is a newly started one. Its age is only some 20 days. Dear elders, dear teachers, and dear students, in the last class we saw the 5 couplets from 16 to 20 under the chapter The Importance of Rain. Today we are going to see 5 couplets from 21 to 25 under the chapter 3, naming the greatness of ascetics. The greatness of ascetics. That is, controlling the desires of us. Controlling the desires. Overcoming our desires. Let us see. There is Thirukkural, comments and explanations on the basis of science and virtue. 5 couplets from 21 to 25. Let us see. Chapter 3, the greatness of ascetics. Couplet 21. A great souls who stood by morality, living a telling life, should be made known boldly to portray what is life. Again, the great souls who stood by morality, living a telling life, should be made known boldly to portray what is life. It is the life of people who led a disciplined moral life should be taken to others, should be taken to the world by our writings. We should be bold enough, the writers should be bold enough to take the greatness of people who led a virtuous, disciplined life. So the writers should be bold enough to take it, the greatness of discipline, the life of disciplined people to the society. What is the meaning of this? What is the content? What is the message of this poem? This couplet. Content. Discipline is the greatest glory of glories. Our human discipline is the greatest glory of glory. Is the greatest glory of glories. The greatest joy of human life. The various kinds of fames and names Man wears discipline is the supermost one. Discipline is the greatest ornament that man should wear. Let us see the explanation. A great people lived a highly disciplined moral life, shedding the righteous path to be followed by the future generation. A great people led a highly disciplined moral life, shedding the uh, righteous path to be followed by the future generation. So, it is the utmost duty of the present generation to glorify the greatness of those souls of deep foresight, to glorify the greatness of those souls of deep foresight, so that their life would be a great example to be followed by the future generation. Their life, people who lead a honest and virtuous, disciplined life should be glorified, should be lit, so that the future generation will be able to learn what is discipline, what is virtue, and they would follow, and they would try to follow that life. So, let us see the 21st couplet again. The great souls who stood by morality, living a telling life, should be made known boldly to portray what is life. The life of those disciplined people, it should be made, it should be glorified to make the world understand what is life. Content, discipline is the greatest glory of glories. Discipline is the greatest jewel man should wear. Let us see the 22nd couplet. Counting the might of those who renounced all, counting the might of those who renounced all would be as counting those who passed away well. Counting the might of those who renounced all would be as counting those who passed away well. What is the message of the poem? What is the content of the poem? So say the sage, Valdemar says, measuring measuring the greatness of people who led a very disciplined life, renouncing all the desires of the five senses, measuring the greatness of people who led a virtuous life, renouncing the desires of five senses, would be as measuring, as counting the number of people who were born and died on the earth. That is, measuring the greatness of people who led a virtuous life would be as counting, measuring, counting the number of people who were born on the earth and died. That is, it is not possible. That is, it is impossible. Measuring the greatness of people who led a disciplined life, disciplined, virtuous life, is impossible. Their greatness cannot be measured. Let us see the content. Content. Measuring the greatness of man forsaken all desires is impossible. It is the message. Measuring the greatness of man, forsaken all desires is impossible. It cannot be there. Their greatness cannot be measured. That is that is who led virtuous life, renouncing their desires, is the greatest one in the world. Let us see the explanation. Counting the glories of the great souls who wholly forsook the bifold desires is impossible. Counting the glories, that means the greatness of the great souls, great people who wholly forsook the bifold desires is impossible. It would be as counting the dead from the very beginning. Measuring the greatness of people, quality of life, overcoming their desires would be as measuring, as counting the number of people who were born and died on the earth, in the world. That is, again, counting the might of those who renounced all would be as counting those who passed away well. Measuring the greatness of man, forsaken all desires is impossible. Let us see the 23rd couplet. The glory of those who led a virtuous life, knowing virtue and vice well. The glory of those who led a virtuous life, knowing virtue and vice well, will be gloriously shining bulb. The glory of those who led a virtuous life, knowing virtue and vice well, will be gloriously shining bulb. That is, the people who led a virtuous life, knowing well what is wise, what is virtue, and what is wise. That is, what is good and what is evil. Would be remembered, will be remembered forever, will be shining forever. The people who lived a glorious life, virtuous life, knowing well what is good and what is bad, what is good and what is bad, would be remembered forever, will be shining forever. The content, that is, message of this couplet. The greatness of the virtues is the greatest in the world. The greatness of the virtues is the greatest in the world. That is the greatness of the virtuous people, disciplined people. The greatness of the disciplined people, virtuous people, is the greatest in the world. What is greatest in the world? The life of the virtuous people is the greatest greatness in the world. Let us see the explanation. Among all living beings, man alone enjoys a twofold life because of this brain. Among all living beings, man alone enjoys a twofold life because of this brain. A life that he does while alive, and the other that he gets after his demise. Man is to life. A life that he does while alive, and the other that he gets after his demise. If a person while living is morally right and useful to all, he will be remembered and glorified ever by all. If a man is morally right and useful to all, he will be remembered and glorified ever by all. People who had known this philosophy of life, People who had known this philosophy of human life and lived by that are majestically living ever in the courts of all, even of the demise. People who had known this philosophy of human life and lived by it, are majestically living ever in the courts of all, even after demise. This is the message of the 23rd couplet. It is the greatness or the virtuous is the greatest in the world. Again, the glory of those who led a virtuous life, knowing virtue and evil and wise well, will be gloriously shining well. If we led a virtuous life, then we will be remembered forever. That's all. The central message, the message of this couplet is: if we lead a virtuous life, then we will be remembered forever. That's all. Let us see the 24th couplet. He who rules his five senses is the best seed to the coming ages. It is a wonderful couplet. He who rules his five senses is the best seed to the coming ages. That is the man who is capable of controlling the desires of his five senses is the best seed, is the best boon, is the best seed, is the best boon, is the best example to the coming generations. The man who leads a disciplined, virtuous life, controlling his five senses, the desires of his five senses, is the best seed to the generation to come. He is the best boon for the future generation. Now let us see the content. Man of controlling his five senses is the best seed to the future. It is what I told earlier. Man of controlling his five senses, his five senses is the best seed to the future. Let us see the explanation. It is the five senses that are wholly responsible for all the problems and sufferings of all the human beings. It is the five senses that are the wholly responsible for all the problems and sufferings of all the human beings. These five senses are so strong, charming, and powerful that they could easily misguide even the sixth sense. That is, these five senses are so strong, charming, and powerful that they could easily misguide even the sixth sense. So, if a person is capable of controlling his five senses, the desires of his five senses, by the light of his wisdom, if a man is capable of controlling the desires of his five senses by the light of his wisdom and leads a disciplined moral life, his way of life will be a fine seed for the future generation. The life of such a man will be a fine seed, a fine example for the generations to come. Okay? Let us see the 25th couplet again. He who rules his five senses is the best seed to the coming ages. The man who leads a highly disciplined life, controlling the disease of his five senses, will be a great seed, will be a great boon to the generations to come. For the generations to come. Let us move to the 25th couplet. It is also a very great one. The power of man who overcomes his five senses is so great. The power of man who overcomes his five senses is so great. For instance, the lives of persons like Buddha the Great. The power of man who overcomes his five senses is so great. For instance, the lives of persons like Buddha the Great. What is the message of this poem? This couplet says, the strength of the man who is capable of overcoming the disease of his five senses is the greatest. The strength of the man who is capable of controlling the disease of his five senses is the greatest one in the world. For instance, who can cite the life of Buddha the Great? For instance, who can cite the life of Buddha the Great? Buddha the Great is a very great man. At one point, he comes to know what is life. He begins to think of what is human life. Then he simply tries to throw away, to renounce the disease of his five senses. He leaves his wife and child and leaves the palace and lead a disciplined life, leaving all desires. And he teaches what is life. And he teaches his his disciples. He teaches his disciples, he teaches his pupils what is life. That is why even today we are talking about him. Let us see. What does I say? What is the message of this poem? The power of man who overcomes his five senses is so great. For instance, the lives of persons like Buddha the Great. What is the content? The strength of the man overcoming his five senses is the greatest in the world. The greatest strength, the greatest strength in the world is the strength of the man who overcomes the disease of his five senses. Explanation. If a man is capable of overcoming the main disease of his five senses, he will gain tremendous strength. Buddha the Great is an apt example for it. He overcame all the diseases of his five senses and became the greatest man of the world. According to Buddha the Great, desire is the root cause of miseries. See, recording this chapter, the greatness of the ascetics, Buddha would be the greatest example. Buddha would be the greatest example. Desire is the root cause of miseries. Dear elders, educationists, teachers, and my dearest students, this is the five couplets, the greatest change by human. portrays, picturize what is human life. If we want to shine, we should learn to control the main desires of the five senses, particularly of the physical sense, because it is the worst. It is the worst sense which would mislead, which would mislead us. That is, this physical sense would definitely mislead us. So we should control the desires of the body, desires of the body, rather than the desires of the tongue, nose, eyes, and ear. It is the desire of the physique, the worst one. It might mislead us. So we should control the temptation of the body, the tendency of the body. Then we could succeed. Then we could succeed in life. So, dear teachers and students, learn to control your five senses and lead a virtuous human life. And particularly, I request dear students, my dearest students, learn, live a virtuous life. It is because you are the kings of tomorrow. You are the kings of tomorrow. If you are virtuous, if you lead a virtuous life, the society in which you are parts would be a bright and a joyful one. So, okay, dear teachers and my dear students, so far we have seen the importance of, controlling, overcoming the disease of five senses. That is the ascetics. In the next class, we will see the remaining 5 couplets from 26th to 30 under the chapter ascetics. Till then, I wish all of you a very nice and sweet time. Thank you.